Hi, welcome to the Sisterhood of Sensuality, and we are doing interview number 4 today. And today I'm interviewing Liz, and she is a co-author of this amazing book called Breast Easy. And it's all about loving our divine feminine self and especially falling in love with our breasts. And so you are chapter 6, and your chapter is Bye Bye Bra, Hello Freedom. And so I love the chapter, and it even created something in me that I was like, wow, I really don't feel comfortable not wearing a bra. And it's not the not wearing a bra, it's that my nipples are showing. You can see my nipples. Like, really created a lot of sensation for me and a lot of awareness that it's like, oh, are other people looking at my nipples? Or it was just your chapter made me want to take a step to try that. And I can't really know if I like it or not. So I would love to hear like your story of what created that movement for you, that you went from probably wearing a bra all the time to kind of being more in your free expression and not feeling like you always have to have these covered up and nobody can see your nipples, or through your shirt, of course. I know they're not out there topless, but
that's the next step.
Yeah.
I guess for me, it was, I didn't just wear bras. Like, I wore push-up bras my whole life because I have always had naturally small breasts. And I was totally self-conscious about it. I feel like there's a lot of like pressure in society and in our culture to only be proud of your breasts if they're large and huge and, you know, giant cleavage and out there and stuff. And I never had that. So I wore bras to enhance what I have. And I guess I finally just got to this place where I didn't want what my breasts look like, their shape, their size, to define who I was anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so I finally got into this space where I was just like, I just want to be me and I just want to be free. And like, my boobs were like, get me out of here. Like, get me out of this. And it got to this point where it was like last May, where if I would put a bra on, I would hear yelling in my head, like, take this thing off, it hurts, like, stop wearing this thing. So I do occasionally wear like a sports bra when I exercise, or like little bralettes sometimes if I have a see-through shirt on.
Mm-hmm.
But because I still have this, like, especially as a small business owner, I do still feel like there's this pressure a little bit to have professionalism.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I'm not wearing one today. I have a dress on that is, you know, like, you can't see through it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess there was never a fear for me of like my nipples. Like, I've always loved them, because even though my breasts were really small, my nipples, I've always just thought they were absolutely beautiful. And so there was never a fear for me of them being seen.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm really grateful for that, because I never felt any qualms about that part of me.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's really amazing. Like, how everybody's so different, right? Because for me, like, I had breast implants for 10.5 years, and now I don't. And I actually love my natural breasts way more than I ever loved having implants. And I feel more secure with them. But the whole expression of my nipples being seen through my clothes really creates a lot of dialogue in my brain, you know. And so I think women have that dialogue going on. So what would you share with them, like, if they were really wanting to, like, maybe take some steps to experience more freedom in their expression of not having this binding bra on? What would you suggest that they do, like, to just take some steps to create a little more space in that area of their life?
Well, it's definitely been a process for me, like an entire life process, and I'm 33 now. So this is very, very new for me. I got breasts very early. I was like 10.
Mm.
And they just like, woo, like showed up on my body, like, and they were huge then. And so this has been a long process for me. But I guess I would say that what it really took was deciding that I didn't want to be defined as a sexual object for other people. Because I think that fear of not wanting my nipples seen, or, I was always really self-conscious about the shape of my breasts because they weren't that like perfect, round, voluptuous thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like very, it really took me to get to that point of deciding I don't want to be defined that way. That if people want to stare at my breasts, that's okay. My breasts like attention.
Mm.
But not if somebody's going to have not that I want to put a limitation on it either, where if somebody judges my breasts or something, like, I don't want to be like, no, you can't do that either. But at the same time, to not define myself by other people's perceptions of my breasts, my nipples, anything that has to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that journey came with a lot of introspection, a lot of checking in with myself, asking a lot of questions. I mean, I know you do access consciousness as well. Like, without access and the tools of access, I don't feel like I maybe would be here at this point, because it really opened a lot of doors for me as far as being able to start asking questions about all the limitations I've placed on myself my whole life.
Yeah, that is so awesome. I'm actually very new to access consciousness, so I've watched some videos, and then I took the first intro class with my daughter, so that was pretty awesome because she's 14.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, and yes, but I do love the question aspect of it, right? Asking ourselves questions, like, that's so powerful to get us out of feeling stuck. Like, I love the question aspect of access consciousness. It's just that one little piece is so beautiful. But when it comes to like our feminine expression of who we are, like, could you share a little bit? Did you have any like beliefs and things like kind of downloaded in you? Like, you had said something about being seen as a sexual object, and I think as women, we really feel a lot of that in our life. And so was that like something that you were taught, or is that something more like society based that you just kind of learned because of the society that we live in?
I guess I am a product of my environment, of living in a society where that is definitely propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
But it was definitely also very taught in my household that I was expected to, I think I say this in the book too, I don't know, I talk about it a lot, but I was expected to kind of just like sit down and smile and be pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And like, there was so much focus on how pretty I was as a little girl that it was really drilled into my head that like that was my value. And so to not be pretty, to not be perfect, to not appear pretty and perfect was like the scariest thing in the world to me, because it was like that is how I felt love.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I understood being valuable as a person. I didn't have a lot of, until later in my life, any of that, stuff you're talking about, like embracing your femininity. It was like a woman is, subjective to a man, like she submits to the man and the man is in charge and the woman just does what she's supposed to, and she's pretty and she just sits there and,
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that is kind of how I established my viewpoint of myself and a woman's place in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, that really like came into this whole like sex thing for me too, because then sex really became a tool for me to get what I wanted from men, because I was pretty and I was good at sex and I could make a man happy that way very easily. And I really used that as a tool, and it really kind of became a prison for me where like it felt like I had power, like I used it to have power. And what I was really doing was like imprisoning myself because I wasn't really able to express myself and I wasn't truly being me. I was only using that as a way to feel power when I felt completely powerless. And so it was one of those like backwards things that, you know, you're trying to do, but you're creating this whole other thing on the back end of it. So yeah, it's, my sexuality was really defined by my experiences as a child. And I was also, it's not something I talk a lot about, but I was also sexually abused and raped when I was younger. And so, again, that's my value. You know, I don't get to choose for me. Someone else gets to choose for me. So yeah, this whole idea of the divine feminine and choosing for yourself and choosing what works for you, like, wow, that's powerful stuff for me to be able to step into now.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that and being so vulnerable. Like, that's such a beautiful thing for others to hear, because it is a huge thing that so many women experience, right? Is sexual abuse or even rape. And also, I think a lot of us learn the power of our sexual expression creating power for us. You know, I learned that as well. I had 6 older brothers and I was the only girl. And so it was like, oh, wow, you heard all this dialogue from my brothers. And so it's like, oh, that's how you get people's attention. And that's what you do. And I learned it really well. And plus it was natural for me anyway. Like, I just have naturally always been connected to my sexual expression of who I am and my sensual expression, but I just didn't know how to own it for myself. I used to use it for approval and acceptance. But I think some of us are just very naturally, you know, into this yummy, juicy type of connection of who we are as women, but we can really get all that confused with the power and the approval and the acceptance, instead of just really like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I have this beautiful energy that people are drawn to, but that doesn't mean that I have to give it to them or be with them, or they can see the beauty in that. So that's awesome. Yeah, thank you. So my last question is, if you were in a group of, say, 5 to 10 women, and you could just give them one tidbit, one little thing that would help them just feel more connected, or just feel more safe, or to feel like they're not alone, what would that one little piece, I know there's probably so many things, but just one thing, because we don't have time to go on and on, but that you would share with them that you feel would really just like touch their heart and make them feel a little safer, more connected, not alone?
I'll tell you what, it is kind of there's lots of things, but I think the main thing that I have learned in very recent times is that connection with other women is so, so, so valuable. I know that because of the way that I had so much sexual power, and that's how I, you know, got what I wanted from men and things like that, there were women who wanted nothing to do with me. And, you know, I had a lot of friction with most females because I was a competition. And there's like so much yuck tied into that, you know. There's enough for all of us. There's enough to go around. We don't have to be in competition with one another. There is value in each and every one of us that is unique to us. And we don't have to, you know, play against each other. So I guess my number one advice is, don't disconnect yourself from women and other females, because they can be your sanctuary. Like, when I finally got right with myself and started letting women into my life, like, it has been something I am so grateful for, because it's a safe place. Like, as women, we all have these thoughts and feelings, but we all feel alone. And so if we would just be willing to open ourselves up to each other instead of hiding from each other and putting ourselves in direct competition with one another, I feel like women are unstoppable. And if we used our, you know, our natural gifts and natural connections to work together, there is absolutely nothing that we, couldn't do at all on this planet. So I found a lot of safety and security in my female friendships that I never would have imagined would even be possible.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Because that's how I've been too. I've always ran away from female connection. Like it just felt like a lot of judgment, and it was a lot of my own insecurity that I felt activated around other women. And so it was like, oh, it's just safer to be with, because men accept you, like you feel like they accept you so much easier. And they see the beauty in you because men are openly drawn to the feminine, like they're not afraid to hide that. And so with that expression of trying to like hide from other women, it really does just create such a sadness and a disconnect in what we really long for. And that all throughout history, right, women have come together in groups and like the red tents, and just like it's been something all throughout time. And in our society now, we're so separated and so disconnected from the power of coming together in that feminine expression of who we are. So thank you so much for sharing that. And that is a huge reason why I created the Sisterhood of Sensuality, is for that exact purpose. So if people feel drawn to you, how do they go about finding you, or finding more about how they can connect with you?
So I'm on Facebook. My business website is The Sunny Side with Liz Schweiger. The spelling of my name is kind of funny, but it's probably on your program. So you can also go to my website, which is www.creatingmagicfromchaos.net. And then all the links to my phone and email and all that stuff are on there as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's amazing. And if anybody is drawn to this book, I'll post a link below too as well. So you can buy that, because it is absolutely amazing. Every woman should read it. Like I would have bought this even if I was not part of it, just because of course the name would just speak to me, and I would buy it. Because I buy like any book that has any type of sexual connection to it. So thank you so much. I'm going to